Where are you most likely to die? Spoiler alert, it's not Australia. If you're watching this video right now, chances are you're in a country that's relatively safe from harm to your life. We often take for granted the safety and comfort that the places we live in can afford us. So then, how about some perspective? Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the most dangerous countries in the world to ask the question of where you'd probably end up dying if you went there. If you're like me, you might have gone about your day and thought about the looming threat of death. But depending on where you are, the odds of you dying in your day-to-day are drastically different. So to help illustrate the danger across the globe, we've brought on someone to help us. This is Billy. We're going to be sending Billy on a hypothetical holiday around the world to some of the most dangerous places to find out where you'd be most likely to die. Don't worry about Billy, he's not real. I drew him in MS Paint so no one cares about what happens to him. Let's start Billy off with Sudan. And right off the bat, Billy is likely already dead. Government travel advisories all around the world designate Sudan as do not travel, citing the threat of armed conflict and civil unrest, marking this country as one of the most dangerous war-torn areas on the planet. Since April 2023, Sudan has been torn apart by a brutal civil war between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces. What began as a power struggle has become a nationwide catastrophe. Over 150,000 people have been killed, not only through violence, but by starvation and disease. Nearly 9 million have been displaced inside Sudan, with 3.5 million refugees forced to flee across borders. So not the most ideal place to be for a traveler, even less so for a local. So then let's revise our strategy and avoid sending Billy off to war-torn countries. We'll even keep it in Africa, because Billy has a bucket list to tick off. Burkina Faso in West Africa. Stunning savannas, forests, and wetlands, rife with diverse fauna. A traveler's dream. Or is it? Billy's odds aren't that great here either, unfortunately. In 2025, Burkina Faso topped the Global Terrorism Index, taking the #1 spot worldwide, beating out Syria and Afghanistan. Once considered relatively stable, this small West African nation is now the epicenter of a crisis spreading across the entire Sahel region. JNIM, who are linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS affiliates, both operate in the region, making survival quite the challenge for would-be travelers, as the risk of kidnapping is all but a guarantee. Okay, so maybe Billy might have to rethink which African countries he'd like to visit. But no matter, you can't go wrong with a classic tropical holiday. This time, Billy's headed off to the Caribbean. Turks and Caicos Islands, a British overseas territory southeast of the Bahamas. White sandy beaches, getting your tan on, sipping margaritas by the water, and nary a care in the world. What could possibly go wrong? As it turns out, quite a lot, actually. With a homicide rate of 76.5 per 100,000 people, the island tops global rankings, ahead of countries often associated with violence. The small population makes each killing far more significant in per capita terms, pushing the rate sky high. Authorities point to gang rivalries, drug trafficking routes, and spillover crime from neighboring countries as the main drivers of violence. And whilst tourists are rarely the targets for such violence, the reality is still quite unsettling for those visiting, and especially for those who live on the islands. And unfortunately, quite a few destinations in the surrounding Caribbeans aren't doing much better. For instance, Haiti, particularly in its capital city, isn't just struggling with gangs. In many areas, the gangs are the government. Roads, neighborhoods, and even access to food and fuel are dictated by armed gangs, and for a million of Haitians, the state itself has all but disappeared. In 2023 alone, 4,800 people were killed, and more than 2,400 were abducted. Kidnappings are a booming business, and homicides are a daily part of life. Entire communities are trapped with little chance to escape, a devastating reality for all involved. So it's back to the drawing board for Billy. If he ever wants to see his fictional family again, that is. But it all can't be that bad. There has to be one place in the Caribbean where Billy can have some safe fun. The Dominican Republic, a rich cultural experience, abundant with hurricanes. It's the most tropical storm-exposed country in the world. The Earth, in all of its beauty, can be a dangerous place to live. And while we, as humans, have found ways to adapt to our surrounding conditions, the reality remains that even in preparedness, nature is not something to be underestimated. Unfortunately, Billy underestimated nature when he asked us to send him to Japan. History, culture, food, what could one possibly have to fear in a place like this? Japan, despite its reputation as a safe and enjoyable tourist destination, is a country that lives under the shadow of environmental risk. Earthquakes being the first example that comes to people's minds, but also typhoons, where an average of 11 storms make landfall annually. Vietnam, another prolific tourist destination in Southeast Asia, that is otherwise a safe place to visit, is often highly exposed to flooding conditions, especially around the Mekong Delta. Both examples being issues that are primarily concerns of the locals that inhabit these countries, but can very well still affect the odd unlucky traveler. Now, we can't have a discussion about deadly countries without mentioning Australia. For the purposes of this video, Billy, being a drawing of an Australian, is automatically granted an Australian citizenship. If you're not like Billy, and you're watching from elsewhere, then you've definitely heard of the deadly animals stereotype. Sharks, jellyfish, octopuses, even the rocks are trying to kill you. And of course, snakes. But you'll be surprised to learn that Australia doesn't lead the list when it comes to snakebite deaths by country. Heck, it's not even in the top 10. India is the most deadly place on the planet if you're trying to avoid being bitten by snakes, and Billy's just entered his eat, pray, love phase. Records estimate 46,000 to 58,000 deaths are caused by snakebites annually in the country, making Australia's 1 to 2 annual snakebite deaths look a little safe by comparison. This is, of course, subject to other factors such as healthcare infrastructure and access to antivenom, as well as a large difference in population. It's still not very assuring for Billy, so he soaks in the sights of New Delhi Airport and immediately books a flight right back to Africa. This is the face of a man who doesn't learn from his mistakes, a stubborn man determined to achieve his life's goals. And this time, his goals are set in Nigeria. He's heard great things, after all. Sadly for Billy, he's just so happened to land in the #1 hotspot for mosquitoes that carry malaria in the world. With millions of cases annually and accounting for over 25% of global malaria deaths, Nigeria is the most dangerous place on the planet when it comes to disease. So by now, Billy is in more of a road tripping mood. But as long as it's not a road trip in Guinea, Billy should be okay, because Guinea happens to be the country with the deadliest roads in the world. You might have seen this picture of this roundabout in Vietnam. Only about 18 deaths per 100,000 people. India, with its unfathomable 1.4 billion population, 14 people per 100,000. Guinea tops them all, with World Health Organization data estimating a road traffic death rate of 37.4 per 100,000 people. So yeah, maybe next time. Well then, where does this leave our hapless adventurer? Where could he possibly go? And what can we learn from this? For us, it's a reminder to be more appreciative of our lives and how we may even take safety for granted. That being said, although we're not advising nor not advising people to visit certain places, it's important that we exercise common sense and precaution, no matter where we go. Everywhere has its share of wonders and danger. The world is a big place, as scary as it is beautiful, as unfair as it is inspiring. And as for the single most dangerous place on the planet, well, that's a tough call. Even with all that's said and done, we haven't even scratched the surface of other factors, like your plane falling out of the sky in Nepal, or having no access to water in Yemen. All we can say is that the next time you're planning a holiday, tell your loved ones you appreciate them. And if you can, give them a good hug. As for Billy, none of this is going to stop him. He's just gonna get travel insurance. Platinum tier. Look at him go. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoyed this video? Make sure to give us a like and subscribe for more content on this strange blue planet of ours. Every little bit counts. Until next time, may your travels be safe and snake-free.